There are a few things that I noticed about Izzy that show me that he's not only emotionally unstable, likes female-to-female competition, maybe enjoys playing with women's insecurities, and needs to be chosen. Izzy divulges a lot of his insecurities, including physical and about his upbringing, to Johnny. And Johnny seems to have listened to him and compassionately understood him. When Johnny shares that she's been married before, she's reassured by Izzy. He says, "Baby, it's all good because I've also been engaged before," and talks more about his insecurities about having been gaslit. Maybe with him feeling like Johnny's a really good listener, he felt really comfortable with her. And he asked her to pick him, even though he's not explicitly said that he's chosen her. He's only implied their connection. He even says at the end, "If you want me, that's what I want." So naturally, Johnny does pick him. She tells him that she's chosen him and that he's her only choice. Johnny then takes this opportunity as possibly the last session before she gets proposed to tell him about having lost the love of her life to addiction and feeling like she may not ever be able to love again, but that she's trying and that she feels this with Izzy. Meanwhile, he's over here hanging his head and looking very upset. And so far, I can tell you that we've seen him intensely love bomb Johnny about how amazing she is when he was talking about his own insecurities. Maybe he had this idealized version of Johnny that he projected onto her. And the moment this idealized version cracked when she decided to share vulnerabilities about her past, he could not handle an imperfect person. Johnny realistically says that it shouldn't be a surprise to you that you're learning more information about me as you're getting to know me more. And he simply just walks away before he breaks up with her ultimately in the next session. Even after he's chosen and proposed to Stacy, he still feels somehow inclined to become involved with Johnny's relationships. You can see he looks visibly really upset here, to the point where he has micro expressions of his lip quivering with anger. Now, why would he care so much about what Johnny is doing after he had made her pick him and then also dumped her? Like, how dare she have a second chance at love or a chance at love after he's dumped her or even want to be on the show? You can see that he may struggle with perceived lack of control over other people. You see him having a great connection with Stacy, and this could have been really a light joke, but he also outs Stacy in a very inappropriate and weird way. And when they get to Stacy's place, he's highly impressed with Stacy's luxurious house. And when she asks about the financial aspects of contributing to the home, he pauses. Now in this pause, I'm feeling like he's trying to figure out what the right thing here is to say or what she wants to hear. You can see he's really struggling here, being put on the spot. And when Stacy does kind of question him, including her father, he just always seems to know what the other person would want to hear. Like, what is this, a job interview? So we know that the house visits are pre-planned, and Izzy seems to have put zero forethought into Stacy coming into his home, his future wife coming into his home. In fact, he shows her his lost and found as if they were trophies of some sort. Again, you see him emphasizing the female-to-female competition like he did in the pods when he was playing both Johnny and Stacy. And he seemed to have been, saying the same kind of things to Stacy in the pods too, where he alludes to these other relationships he's had. Stacy's a very confident person, and I'm wondering if he's just trying to play on her insecurities a little bit. She does break down at the end because of this. I think when it did register, she had a very visceral reaction when she had that anxiety attack, that there's something not quite right about Izzy. He was taking a lot of pleasure in this. At the get-together, you see the same side of him where he's extremely aggressive when he supposedly calls out Johnny for being sketchy. I mean, how inappropriate, and what grounds does he have to even call her out? It's none of his business. But then again, maybe it was because his ego was a little bit bruised that he wasn't her only choice, but maybe her first choice. In fact, she had already said Chris was her first choice in the beginning when he kind of manipulated her into choosing him. Here's him trying to justify his anger again by saying, no, none of that mattered to me. It's only that you were a little sketchy with what you said. And whenever Johnny tries to speak her part or perspective, he shuts her down. In fact, what she was trying to say was very easy to follow and understand. When she says, you were my number one, he does not seem convinced, and you can see he was upset, visibly upset about this. He does not give her any chance to speak. Then he also offers her advice, like, dude, who are you to give anyone any advice? You were done with her, so be done with her. And when she counteracts him with logic and rationality, he becomes very aggressive and personal. Now, this statement right here, everyone thinks you're sketchy as F, is intentionally meant to play on her self-esteem and self-worth. He already saw a glimpse of her feeling unworthy of love in the pods. Now he's used that information to make her feel worthless. And if she was able to rationally argue with his perspective, now he's made it everyone's perspective. If someone is secure within their relationship and happy with who they are and who they're with, then they don't have a need to call anyone out and go out of their way to do that or make anyone else feel less worthy of love. Again, you see him feeling so much pride over having hurt someone else and their self-esteem. You can see Stacy was really confused by his aggressive and hyped up demeanor. His aggressive wording has so many misogynistic undertones, and many manipulative people will use something you said in response to what they said in order to make you look bad in front of other people. I really hope Stacy starts to see these red flags because she's in for a ride with this guy. He is love bombing her hard, but at the same time keeps mentioning his previous relationships, so she always feels compared to. Stacy is concerned about how Izzy is appearing, but he repeatedly just tells her he loves her, he's so glad he chose her. She even kind of calls him out on different occasions, like, why would you be so heated if she didn't say anything that annoyed you? He calls Johnny a mess, and while Stacy says, don't compare me to the mess. In his corner, Izzy has successfully changed how Stacy views Johnny. He's upset that he couldn't do anything about changing Chris's opinion of Johnny. And no one else has said that Johnny was shady. It just seems like his ego was hurt. But there are so many undertones of misogyny with everything that he does, with the needing females to compete for him, wanting to be the only choice for people, being so intensely affectionate in the beginning, and successfully playing on people's insecurities. He seems like he may need some help and that he possibly has some aggressive tendencies. Another thing I noticed was after love bombing the hell out of someone. Another thing I noticed was after love bombing the hell out of Johnny, making her pick him, then becoming very cold as soon as she had any flaws, he discarded her. I am wondering if he may do the same thing to Stacy. Good luck to Stacy. I actually like her.